a sword and then, but I always hear you preaching to me about peace and equanimity and community. How are these things at all related? And the master just says it's much better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war.
Yeah.
And I almost feel like the only way we could avoid war would be for everyone to be a warrior in a garden, because when you're a warrior and a martial artist, you have crafted your physical skills as a martial artist to be violent and to be essentially a weapon, which you're liable to. And this is kind of tying in with this is obviously it's still the same topic, but you integrate that part of yourself, and it's under your control. And when absolutely necessary, you can be the warrior in the war if it's unavoidable and you have to, and perhaps it's for the greater good, and perhaps your whole culture and your whole way of life is on the line, and what else are you going to do? And but then perhaps the only way of avoiding it, like I said, is to be a warrior in the garden, because then that proclivity for human violence is under your command as an autonomous conscious being, as opposed to you just being this latent or this loosely held together collaboration of different unconscious motivations, whether it's hunger or violence or sex. All these things, you bring them into yourself and acknowledge them and awaken them and train them. And I almost feel like that would be the answer. But then, how do you get everyone?
Yeah. And I feel like the ability to pick your battle, and like there are some fights like you're going to have to face, but whether it be these nations coming to an all-out slugfest and they go to a state of total war where everything about the society now is just about breaking the other one, and you don't stop doing that, whether it be that or you and some jerk at the bar are like trading words, and you got to learn how to sometimes you're gonna have to punch it out with that guy, or you're gonna have to know the fact that you are a finely trained fighting machine, and you need to be respectful of that. If you can't just bring the guns out and punch this guy out, you need to know how to level up and just let something slide across, because having an assault charge simply over some stupid thing you're gay, and it's just it's not gonna be that's not a reason to just be like, oh fuck you buddy, think that's gonna ruin my day.
Absolutely.
Almost certainly with being trained as a warrior, your rules of engagement have to most certainly be crafted towards this understanding and respect with this new use of force that you're learning.
Well, I think there's an intimation of a higher consciousness in martial arts training too, to have that higher awareness and of the grander picture, as opposed to being impulsive, and then maybe that natural human urge, that animal instinct towards violence and aggression isn't under your control, and then is able to just come out in a reactionary manner at the bar, as opposed to you cultivating that higher awareness of the situation, because you're going to think, I got to wake up tomorrow with my sore ass face and everything and go to work, and with the assault charge perhaps, or the just the bigger picture and the consequences of your actions. And that's a part of the warrior training, I think. At least that's what
I think for the gardener and the warrior is the one thing I would like to say is it's in the same way of I hope people realize that they can be very multifaceted, and to have the warrior and the gardener and the scholar and the all wrapped up into one thing is a quote that is said is in the overeducated society, people starve because people forgot to tend to the fields to keep the crops going. As we need everybody doing this, but to be the warrior who's also gardening in his peacetime area because he has this sense of community it's all very important. But definitely a lot of respect. It's definitely a lot of respect. Everybody doing a little bit of everything to make this thing go around, man.
Yeah, man. That's that multifaceted human being idea is one I find very attractive, because I'm someone with I'm sure a lot of people are like this, obviously, but I have more interests than I have time to pursue the interests, and but I see immense value, because there's value to specializing to sheer and utter expert level at something, but I find myself personally more inclined to a wide variety of skills and experiences, and but even if someone is really specialized in a certain discipline, eventually you're able to broaden out and generalize out of that specialization and apply things to the rest of life. Like the martial artist can apply martial art teachings and experiences to gardening, and then the musician can apply philosophy of music to and experiences of music to the rest of life too, and so all these things can be abstracted out from their specific origin and generalized across a wide girth of experience. And being a multifaceted human being, I mean, that's one of the beautiful things about us, is that I'm not a cat, and I'm not just stuck being a predator in the forest. I can pursue a myriad of different things, and I can read a variety of topics and disciplines, and I can practice all sorts of different things, and that sort of freedom that just comes from the sheer luck of the draw of being born as a human being as opposed to any other animal is the sheer amount of adaptability we have and fluidity we can cultivate. And I think there's really something important to that idea, because if anyone's too the horse with the blinders on a single track in one direction, I mean, what a human being is to me is so much grander and broader than just the one thing. So yeah, I feel like there's a lot of truth to what you said.
I feel like in this way that you're saying is there's certain things that you can gain which are applicable between this being a musician and a roofer and all these other things. It's something that we need to really start paying attention to if we're to gain a next level in our human experience, this next level of society that potentially will be opened. As it's the style in which we teach, in which we learn, is things really need to be stopped and broken down for people in different ways, so that people have an ability to rather than just firing a million things at someone and being I hope some of those things are going to stick, is I'm trying to think about how I'm trying to say this right now, but we don't do a very good job at teaching people, and to kick someone out of an educational system being a person with a loose understanding of things who is very stopped and confused because you shot a whole bunch of information through their brain with basically putting a shotgun in one ear and blasting through the brain and seeing what comes out the other end. And some of that hopefully stayed in the head, as he just pumped out confused, wary people who don't have a very good sense of self. And I think about the idea and having that be a reality would be very difficult. So have a good understanding of learning things and being able to learn a little bit about being a warrior, and learning a little bit about how to be a roofer, and learning how to cook a little bit, and gaining this understanding of being led through this and being able to navigate information and take it in and chew it and digest it, is it really does lead to this sense of understanding who you are and being able to say, this is me. And it really does lead to building good, strong, hopefully respectful people. And it's it really does build into good, strong communities. I don't know, man. Yeah.
Well, I'll take up the talking stick and say, well, I completely agree. I have a couple points about it that popped in my head while you were speaking. So, psychedelic mushrooms are for legalization in California, right? Yeah. And some of the empirical evidence about psychedelics, which is incredibly recent, because for the longest time they were just off limits to even researchers, because, well, I think the 1960s happened and everyone was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, dude, we came across these and it came into mass production.
Yeah, so it's just, we almost just scared the shit out of ourselves, and the society had to put that on the back burner for now, and let's just let that dissipate for a bit, and it seems like now we're taking a more rational, calm, mature approach towards researching psychedelics and their potential merits, which I think are manifold. But so one thing that happens is, I'm not sure the exact percentile, but people who do psychedelics in the research studies result in being a certain amount of percentile higher in personality trait openness, which is openness to experience, and is correlated with creativity quite a lot. And then creativity is also highly correlated with IQ, and which is a quick aside. I often wonder about psychedelics. The psychedelic, it seems like it almost stimulates neurogenesis in some way, and I wonder if people's IQs could actually raise, which is like, as far as the empirical research on IQ goes today, it's pretty much, you're essentially got what you got, and that's pretty much it. You're born with a 90 IQ, you're right at the threshold of being able to read instructions and follow them, and just shit luck for you, sorry buddy. But it seems like psychedelics make people more creative, make people more open, and this openness, I wonder, could potentially, well, there's no evidence to suggest that it's necessarily a good thing, but it almost feels intuitively correct, which is, well, and I'm biased for sure, because psychedelics have had immensely positive impact on my life, and I have a regular practice of consuming psychedelics for sure.
Yeah.
And almost on
they're a lot of fun.
They're a lot, and very, it's a descent into your own self, and who knows what you're going to discover. And a lot of people are horrified because, well, damn, people are horrified of going into the flotation tanks for the same reason, like having a real profound encounter with who you really are and what you really are, and that includes the horrors of who you are and the tragedy of who you are, and that's heavy shit. But anyways, people come out of these experiences. What was it? I could be butchering this. I need to do my research and memorize these facts. But it was something like 80% of the people who underwent the experience categorized the psychedelic experience as one of the top 5 most meaningful experiences of their lives. Right up there with getting married and having their first kid and their first mushroom trip. It's like, and so, anyways, talking about the multifaceted human being who is the human being who might be a martial artist and a roofer and a poet and a musician and has a knack for interior design and who knows, and just having that wide breadth of experience and insight, you're going to create wise and strong human beings. And so this comes to my second point that popped in my head when you were speaking is if we want a good, happy, and healthy society, and a country, and a province, and a city, and a little community, and a neighborhood, and a house, and a family, I mean, it comes back down to the individual. The individual human being needs to be strong and wise and compassionate and all these things. And so, well, how do you create an environment that produces strong, capable, wise human beings? And then you can't put the blame on the society, because the society is the sum total of its members. And to the degree that the society is pathological, I think is completely